snowstorm. Antarctica.
Ice scientists are penguins.
Antarctica, they're opening the abyss.
Got a lot of Antarctica stuff that we can cover, but is there one in particular you wanted? There's one that I wanted to do, for sure.
Let me see here.
Okay, mine's the one from the Daily Maverick.
That's what I was going to say. I think that's the most important one.
Okay.
Why don't I do the, I don't know. I'll do this. I'll start and then you do one whenever. Hold on. Oh,
which one are you doing? The growing ice or the space one?
I'll do the growing ice to make a point. I'll just do the headline real quick. Then I'll do the next one.
Okay.
Here we go. This is coming from express.co.uk. Why are we covering Antarctica, folks? Well, it should be obvious by now, but it's the most important place on Earth. It is taken hostage by the mainstream media, hostage with their lies and their propaganda. And it is expressed here. Express.co.uk. Antarctica breakthrough. Ooh, we've got an Antarctica breakthrough. Ice sheets have grown over the last 20 years, despite climate change.
Oh, how's that work?
Okay.
So it's climate changing colder. Is that what's happening? I thought it was global hottening.
Antarctica, the victim.
Ah, yes.
The social justice utopia, the promised land, the white desert, is thriving. Apparently, despite climate change, even though all Antarctica scientists say that climate change is not affecting Antarctica whatsoever, but the mainstream media's got to make a point, and here's the point. I don't know what it is. Hold on. Between 2022, they've got so many like ads and videos on this page. Between 2022 and 2020, the frozen continent at the South Pole.
No. Between 2002 and 2020.
Sure.
Yeah.
You could just say Antarctica. Between 2002 and 2020, the frozen continent at the South Pole has shed we know what Antarctica is, but okay. Has shed approximately 150 gigatons of ice per year, causing the global sea level to rise by 0.4 millimeters per year, according to NASA.
Thanks, NASA. Space people telling us about the ocean. I appreciate that.
I love this. The deconstruction is so easy. So according to NASA, all that nonsense they just said. However, a new report shows that this ice loss is not uniform. As a new report finds that in the last 20 years, parts of Antarctica have actually gained ice. The researchers say that sea ice may have protected some of those glaciers from ice loss by pushing against them after a change in regional wind patterns. Don't know, don't care. Ice shelves, which are floating sections of ice that have attached to land-based ice sheets, serve the vital purpose of protecting against the uncontrolled release of inland ice into the ocean.
So hold on. Before we get too
ice
deep
in the ocean keeps the land ice where it belongs. You stay on land ice. Sea ice. We're in the sea. It's like a turf war.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. But if I'm not mistaken, basically they're saying, yeah, it's melted. You know, all this ice is melted, but also
so much melt according to NASA.
Is frozen too. So is it a wash?
It's nonsense.
Or what?
It's a total wash. It's a total wash. It's exactly what the scientists have been saying. None of the mainstream media is reporting on it. We are possibly the only people in the world as passionate about communicating. We are science communicators, Gons. We're like we are the Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh no.
Of Antarctica. Nobody is listening to these Antarctic scientists except for us. And apparently now express.co.uk.
You know what this
Anyways,
is like? This is like, there's a horse. And then
okay.
you close your eyes.
Sure. Yeah, I'll bite. Okay.
Yeah, you close your eyes, right?
See a horse. I'm looking at it.
You touch a part of the horse, right?
I don't want to touch this horse.
And you feel the fur or whatever, and you're like, it's a bear or it's a dragon or something.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're doing the You could have done the actual allegory of the blind men and the elephant. Is that what you're trying to do? Is this your version?
Yeah, but that'd be...
Close your eyes. Imagine a horse. No. Bigger. Stronger. Yeah, the blind men and the elephant. 3 blind men come across an elephant. One touches the foot, says it's a tree. The other one touches the trunk, says it's a snake. The other one touches a tail, says it's a... I don't know,
pig or something,
an elephant tail. Yeah, no, I mean, that's exactly what it is. And it's a good example. It's a beautiful illustration of really how the mainstream works in total, in that, if you focus in enough, if you get granular enough from one perspective, you can tell any story. Yeah. And that's what we're seeing just day to day with the mainstream news. Yeah. And that's why this show and shows like ours are important, because more than anything, what we do is when we find an article, we read about at least 3 different versions of the article, oftentimes much more. And it's that broad, we get questions all the time, like, where do you get your news? Where do you get the truth? I'm like, you can't get it anywhere. I'm just telling you, you cannot get the truth about a story in any one place, except for Canary Cry NewsTalk. But the point is,
we're doing the hard work for you.
The point is, right? The point is, you got to read the same article like a half a dozen times, and after you do that, you notice you can throw out the editorialization. You find where the facts are. You can take it from there. And thank God that it's my job, because I would not do it otherwise. It is a huge pain in the butt. And the system is designed that way. It's designed to be a pain in the butt. Yeah. And that's what we see with Antarctica. And that's why we're obsessed. I got this other article here. This one is coming from About Blank. Statsglobe.com. Antarctica going in dimness for a long time has got
wait a minute.
Sometimes gone.
Is it not? So I thought this happens every year. I thought the day shortens at the poles, but
sometimes you got to read an article written by a robot to get the real truth. Antarctica going in dimness for a long time has got space researchers energized. Here is the reason. No punctuation. No punctuation. Just pure adrenaline-fueled robot reporting.
Robot adrenaline reporting.
Antarctica going in dimness for a long time has got space researchers energized. Here is the reason. How is this experience connected with space research, you could inquire? Indeed. The Italian-French station Concordia is found 3,233 m above ocean level.
M.
Where temperatures can decrease to negative 80 degrees Celsius, and the total frozen murkiness outside, very much like space! All caps. Oh. They're teaching the AI that if you do something in all caps, then humans really like that. Yeah. The South Pole, Antarctica, goes through a time of galactic polar evening.
You know what's funny? This is the robot. The robot must have gone sentient this year, or the AI, or whatever. We just heard about Gato.
Yeah.
Maybe this is Gato. Like this is Gato's first, galactic polar evening season or whatever. So what's all fun? New for the AI.
We come across these AI articles once in a while. Almost exclusively, they are about Antarctica.
Yeah.
Let me go back a bit. Antarctica goes through a time of galactic polar evening, a time of ceaseless night, where there is no sundown or anything.
Whoa, the AI is describing the abyss.
There's no sundown.
There's no sundown. There's no anything. Oh my gosh!
It really
it's
is
the bottomless
space.
pit.
This happens from May 11 to August 1, when the sun is somewhere in the range of 18 degrees and 23 degrees, 26 feet underneath the skyline. Okay. While an encounter like this would crack the heck out of everybody. What? Robot?
What? This robot wants to break humans?
Activate colloquial protocol. Speak like cool human. While an encounter like this would crack the heck out of everybody, a 12-part group of analysts, not a 12-member group, a 12-part group. These are simply human cogs in a machine, Cons. A 12-part group of analysts from the European Space Agency, ESA, is setting out on their central goal to Concordia Research Station in Antarctica to encounter living and working in seclusion. Let us encounter living and working in seclusion for a considerable length of time for space research. I love to think that that's how these scientists actually speak.
Oh, man.
Brothers, gather with me. Brothers in science. Let us set out on our central goal to Concordia Research Station in Antarctica to encounter living and working in seclusion for a considerable length of time. For space research. How is this experience connected with space research, you could inquire? Indeed, the Italian-French station Concordia just repeats the first paragraph again. Except for it does add some things at the end here.
Yes.
So it repeats the first paragraph, but tacks on a couple of sentences.
Yeah, I gotta change it
now,
up.
let me tell you. This is absolutely AI. We have experimented.
Yeah.
We have a lovely producer who is helping us experiment with AI using our transcriptions. This is exactly the quality of AI we are able to get so far.
Yeah.
No provisions or individuals can be flown in throughout the cold weather months and the high height. And the high height makes the group experience persistent hypobaric hypoxia, or absence of oxygen in the cerebrum. ESA.
That is very specific.
Humans do not enjoy absence of oxygen. ESA supported clinical specialist Haynes Hagson. Fake name
and for sure.
Haynes Hagson and his crewmates for this mission. Due to the outrageous circumstances impersonating conditions in space and different planets, Haynes will work with biomedical tests on himself and his crewmates to comprehend how people adapt to living in I'm sorry. His crewmates to comprehend how people adapt to living in outrageous detachment. End of article. I have no idea what I just read. I fear I've activated some sort of robotic assassin somewhere.
Oh,
God.
We've had moments where we lose it, but
This is not even a period.
Tears. I have tears rolling out of my eyes. I have not laughed this hard in a while.
Emotional. You're so emotional about it.
Well, because
Haynes Haxon and his brave crewmates to comprehend how people adapt to living in outrageous detachment.
I'm concerned about his work with biomedical tests on himself and his crewmates. What is he doing? Is he going to be a Gaborum? Is he going to find himself to be a mighty one?
He's not a scientist. No, this is some Dr. He Jingqi level gonna CRISPR some babies, and we'll be in Antarctica so nobody can tell us not to. It's international waters.
Outrageous detachment. That sounds like a band name. That should be our band, our Canary Cry band.
Kind of sounds like me living off the grid, honestly. How will I adapt to living in outrageous detachment?
Oh my gosh! All right.
Thank you, Flippy. Thank you, Flippy, for that.
Okay.
You're not gonna this is written, believe it or not, by a robot named Nishika Paranhabe.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I think that's just the person who pressed the button on the AI. Yeah. All right.
One more, real quick.
You got anything important to say about Antarctica? Because I sure don't. I'm experiencing outrageous detachment.
Well, the Daily Maverick is reporting, quote, this is the headline. Oh, by the way, this is under the segment Battleground Antarctica. Battleground.
Ooh, yeah. Weird. It's like they listen to this show. We identified Antarctica as a battleground.
Gentleman's agreement. Despite mining ban, Russia scours Antarctica for massive fossil fuel deposits.
No. China and Russia now.
The Kremlin's mineral explorer says it has found a stunning 500 billion barrels of oil and gas below the Southern Ocean's climate-threatened waters. Climate-threatened waters.
Lies, man. Just lies and lies on lies on lies. It's crazy.
The Southern Ocean doesn't have climate? Climate threatened. Anyway, tapping
it's climate threatened.
I know.
Sounds like the climate is bullying the ocean.
That's what I'm saying. It's mean to the Southern Oceans.
Hey, punk.
Tapping these mooted reserves would not only hamper global efforts to fight the climate crisis known for flouting major agreements. A defiant Russia in the Antarctic could destroy the decades-long protected status of Earth's last unmined frontier.
Yeah.
Supergiant oil fields are simmering below the Southern Ocean, the warming waters at the bottom of the Earth that wrap around the melting, icy Antarctic, a litany of Kremlin sources suggest. Despite the 1998 Antarctic mining ban ratified by Russia and 28 other states, some of the so-called loot in the Kremlin's crosshairs appears cached with large marine sedimentary basins off East Antarctica's Indian Ocean sector. That supposed loot may equal a climate-busting 500 billion barrels of hydrocarbon, quote-unquote, resources.
I love it. I love the insinuation.
Yes.
Like, we've been talking about this climate crisis for a while, but, the Russians... They found some oil down in Antarctica, and that's what's really gonna tip us over the edge. Oh boy. Oh, we can't let that happen.
The building blocks for oil and gas claims a bombshell statement released by the Kremlin's mineral explorer Rosgeo, issued February 2020 from the Antarctic Gateway port of Cape Town, the first reported by S&P Global. The statement hardly cracked a nod in media swamped by pandemic news. Yet its revelations were staggering. It did not say how much of these stocks were recoverable, but at 500 billion barrels, such largesse would outstrip global annual oil consumption of 35 billion barrels by about 15 times. Rosgeo brazenly...
Just want to point out real quick, they used the term... See, this is the thing, too. And I'm happy that you and I get to spot these things, but the listeners, too, know how to spot them. Gateway. Antarctic Gateway port of Cape Town.
Yes, Gateway. Yeah. That's right.
In reference to the Afrofuturism, the investments going into Africa, the select gateway ports to Antarctica, which if Antarctica becomes the utopia that it is being set up to, there will be an interesting sort of class struggle in these gateway ports.
Yeah. Rosgeo brazenly revealed its 2020 seismic operations sought, quote, to assess the oil and gas bearing prospect of the Antarctic itself. Chief geologist Sergei Kozlov predicted data from that year succeeding 2019 work would, quote, make it possible to substantially clarify our expectations. Yet, refuting those February 2020 media claims that 2019 and 2020 marked Russia's first attempts since the 1990s to size up Antarctica hydrocarbons, the truth seems more chilling. Instead, Daily Maverick's investigation into state documents shows Russia has not ceased its search for far south's oil, gas, and other minerals swag since the late 1990s mining ban entered into force under the Antarctic Treaty Madrid Protocol, the environmental chapter that governs the ban. In 2021/22's Austral summer, it was indeed a Russian prospecting company that once again sailed south on a Kremlin-decreed mission to amass, quote, an information base on, quote, the mineral resource potential of the Antarctic. According to the prospecting... By the way, I'm sure every country did this in the last, few years. Or at the very least, a few years. Probably much longer.
We've noted multiples. Yeah. Just in the past few months doing this.
Again, it's just one of those things where when Russia does, Russia's doing it. Destroy the world. Yeah. According to the prospecting company. Okay. It just goes into some of the stuff here with the details. But
yeah, I know. Another example of Antarctica being a microcosm of geopolitics playing out. It's almost like a game that they play with Antarctica that inevitably, has larger consequences throughout the world.
Let me wrap it here. Geopolitical interests. Chief among Antarctic state documents in Russia's grand vision for the White Continent and surrounds to 2030.
Can't say that.
Hold on. Let me just. What? Am I reading this wrong?
White Continent.
Oh, that's what it says. Chief among Antarctic state documents in Russia's grand vision for the capital continent and surrounds to 2030. According to that vision's 2021 released action plan, it is a major objective to scrutinize the region's, quote, geological structure and minerals by land, air, and sea. Charged with executing these orders are state entities Rosgeo, AARI, the Russian polar science operator, Hydro Environment Agency Roshildromet, and Mineral Resource Agency Rosnedra. To further safeguard geopolitical interests, the Kremlin's reproduction and use of natural resources program emphasizes reliance on Antarctic geology data. This 660 billion rubles, about $10 billion, drive to 2024 is steered by the Natural Resource Ministry. At least 7 state bodies are listed as program participants. And so, Russia's got a whole program to tap into Antarctica for resources, which makes sense. And perhaps another reason why they're trying to cut him off. And like, hey. Like think about, oh my gosh, this is a repeat of the Sputnik and, the whole space race that they did. It's very similar. Russia gets kind of
Antarctica race.
Right. Russia's ahead of the curve, but then we can't let Russia win. So you got to start a war. It just seems like it's all part of the same game being played 100 years later. Yeah, well,
we know that there are levels upon levels upon levels of games being played. And, I think we can pretty confidently say that Antarctica is one of the higher level games being played consistently.
Yeah, and it's not... I will say that my Google News feed with Antarctica is coming, and for some reason Antarctica comes in multiple times a day now, whereas it used to be like once every few days.
No, so things are moving.
It's definitely being picked up by all these mainstream sources, and a lot of it is repeating the same stories. But something's up for sure. So we'll keep an eye on it.
I mean, I'm tempted to just repeat. It's almost like we need to put a graphic together that connects all the Antarctica stories and how they reflect not just what's happening now, but what seems to be happening on a broader scale. Just quick breaking news before we go out here, Gons.
Is it Antarctica related?
No.
Okay, then let me do this real
perhaps.
quick. Perhaps. All right.
So a new discovery, Antarctica.
Antarctica in the bottom of our planet. Advanced Antarctica. Climate crisis. Penguins.
Breaking911.com. First 2022 U.S. case of monkeypox.
Oh, yes.
Confirmed in Massachusetts.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, watch out, folks. The monkeypox. We got the bird flu. We got the monkeypox. We got the bat cold. All sorts of things going on.
The snake venom.